to follow.
Then another year it starts again. Well, this is different.
We should definitely be talking to these wonderful people. Once again, we urge you to share the feed on Facebook.
Hi there, I'm Faida, and today we're going to be talking about the African diaspora in Mexico.
Whether UK likes it or not, I have to leave this country.
I became a member and a chief of the Vice Lord all in one day.
All these guys, winds are out of the north at Midway Airport.
His father.
Rising beast. Okay, kids, we have had to come to an end of this beautiful set.
It's not about this.
This is the inside account of a week that brought the Rainbow Nation to its knees.
Right, essentially trying to implement into this. Hello, everyone. This is the Progressive Mind Show. We are glad to be coming your way. This evening is July. No, we just got into August. It's August 3rd, 2022. Very excited to be coming your way. Welcome to the #1 community building show in the world, the Progressive Minds. This is where we build our community through dialogue. If you're watching us on Facebook now, we encourage that you share the feed so that your friends and our community members can participate in tonight's discussion. We are also live on YouTube on our Progressive Minds channel, also on Twitter as well. This evening, we're going to be talking about the King's speech. For those of you who attended our exchange ceremony, our second annual exchange ceremony about 2 weeks ago at the Rainbow Push, we're gonna listen to the King's speech again. We wanted to get you some excerpts of the event. We're trying to see if our producers can help us get you glimpses of what happened. But definitely the King's speech is going to be replayed and you can give us your opinion about it. For now, though, we will listen to Captain Mike with his segment. And then once we come back, we will continue the conversation this evening. Excuse me. Captain Mike, good to see you. We have been away for about, I'll say 3 weeks, almost a month without a show. We miss our audience. We miss your report and your interaction with us. Brother, thanks for making it here. Know you have had a busy schedule. Please go ahead with what you have for us with regards to sports, weather, and health.
All right, in the weather right now, Midway Airport, 86 degrees, cloudy skies, winds are out of southwest, about 10 miles an hour. Decent kind of summer day for us. Let's look at the rest of tonight's forecast. And yeah, it was a pretty busy day today training, so I'm going to upload the rest of the 7-day forecast. But the forecast for tonight, we are going to get down to about 75 degrees. Winds are going to stay out of the southwest about 5 to 10 miles an hour. mostly cloudy skies, and maybe a shower or a sprinkle or two, nothing drastic. So right now, Cubs are going to play the Cardinals are at about 6:45, so in just about 40 minutes from right now. And the White Sox defeated the Royals 4-1. Now, into our health and fitness report. We'll talk about 9 ways to protect your heart and your brain from the heat. As you can tell, this has been a record-breaking summer as far as the temperatures are concerned, so we have to stay safe. So according to Dr. Lance Becky, the chair of the emergency medicine at NYAHO Health, hot weather is a stress test for your heart and your body. So how do we stay healthy? Your heart conditions could get worse. If you have a heart condition, it's going to get worse in the summer. Hot temperatures can increase the risk of a stroke. Your heat regulation is all about blood flow. So your body cools by pushing blood to your skin and sweating. So excessive heat can overwhelm this process and become a dangerous situation if you have health challenges. So how do you stay safe? 1, know the symptoms. The symptoms of heat exhaustion: if you have headaches, dizziness, weakness, nausea, or your skin is cool and moist, that's the symptom of a heat exhaustion. So try to get to a cool place. And if these symptoms last more than an hour, make sure you dial 911. Now, heat stroke, worse. You have rapid, strong pulse. Your heart is beating very rapidly. Your body temperature is above 103. You have hot, dry skin, and it's red. Call 911 immediately. 2, drink lots of water. If you're thirsty, don't let your body's telling you something. Drink water. Don't drink alcohol. That can dehydrate you. So we'll wait till this fall before we start drinking again. All right, stay cool. Try to get someplace that's air conditioned. If you don't have air conditioning and it's very hot, call 311. Try to find a cooling center. And if you still can't get to air conditioning, try a cool, wet, damp cloth. Put that on you and sit under a fan. You can also spray water on your body and that in front of the fan, and that's going to cause evaporative cooling. Another way to cool off. Monitor your health. If you do have health challenges such as high blood pressure, make sure that you monitor your health because the heat can add extra strain on your body. If you have any concerns, call your doctor or your health professional. 6, watch what you eat. In the summer, try to eat light summer foods such as fruits, such as watermelon, peaches, apples. So don't overtax your digestive system when it's hot by eating heavy foods. 7, exercise. Make sure you're in shape, but be smart about it. If it's really hot, think about exercising inside or wait till it cools off. 8, wear loose, light colored clothing. And 9, most important, take care of one another. If you know someone who's elderly or someone with health challenges, make sure you check up on them because we're all in this together. And we can find all of this information on blackdoctor.org. And with that, Sena, we're going to go back to you.
Hey, Captain Mike, thank you so much for a great update. I really appreciate it. These are great health tidbits that you just provided us. We hope that you out there watching us, listening, will take a thing or two from this and share with your friends. Share with your friends and family. I think this is very valuable information. Once again, we are very grateful, Captain Mike. It feels forever since we have done an episode. I don't know how, to me at least.
Yeah, well, to me, summer goes really fast, so it seems like yesterday. And like you were saying, called it July, but it's already August. I'm not ready for summer to end.
Oh, my brother, I just hope that we can keep enjoying this for the next 3 months at least.
Slow it down.
What's up? Any activity for later today?
Sleep and be back at the simulators tomorrow at 4 a.m.
I hear you, bro. Well, on that note, we would get back to the conversation this evening. Thank you so much once again, Captain Mike. Hopefully, we will see you next week.
Okay, and also look at my 7-day forecast in the comment section.
Thank you once again, Captain Mike. Have a wonderful evening.
We'll see you next time.
Yep, thank you so much. That was Captain Mike. We will take so we have Ben. Ben, you might want to. Are you able to tilt the phone sideways to give us that good. Yeah. If you can do that. So while we wait on Ben, we're also trying to see if we can get the other guests on the show. But again, once again, welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. This is where we build our community, and as we wait to listen to the King's speech and engage some of the audience, some of our guests. We would want to take a short break. When we come back, we would get back to the conversation this evening. This is your host, Alinko, and we shall be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the show. My name is Sena, aka Alinko, and today we will be talking about the exchange ceremony. We're going to be doing a short recap of what happened July 16th, 2022. So for those of you who have been following the page for some time now, the Progressive Mind Show has been dedicated for over 5-6 years now in connecting the African diaspora. We've set out to be the bridge that would connect Africans, Caribbeans, African Americans, and to a larger extent, the Afro-Latinx community, the Latinx community, and of course, the Central American communities as well. We've had these conversations. We've been having these conversations for, like I said, 5 years to 6 years, 2017, thereabout. And when we started, it was just a passion and it was a purpose that God had placed on my heart. And I didn't know what to make of the journey, but I saw something. I saw a need for us to be intentional about our coming together as people of the African diaspora. And so we dove into the idea. We bought into the idea that one day the African diaspora community can solidify or can foster a greater solidarity. But again, the challenge was, how do we do that? But we thought that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. And we realized that perhaps if we just engage with one another and have these conversations that are very peculiar and pertinent and important about the things that separate us and the things that bring us together. We have Mr. William is in the house. We'll come to Mr. William in a little bit. But as I was saying, we realized that the things that separate us does not surmount the things that brings us together. And so having conversations within the diaspora alone, we realized that was not enough. And so we needed to extend the conversation in our communities. So we've engaged in several community events like the African Diaspora Summit, which basically entails bringing the African diaspora together, have our leaders come on as panel and engage the community where we break bread and just have these conversations about what we can do to foster our relationship. We started this in 2019. This is the African Diaspora Summit, which is the coming together of the diaspora, and we were doing this on a monthly basis at Chicago State. This was after we first and successfully made a history of hosting the exchange ceremony in 2019. 2019 was the year of return.
Hosting the exchange ceremony in 2019. 2019 was the year of return.
Can you please turn down your
can you please turn down your
thank you so much, because we're getting feedback. So yeah, 2019 was a year of return. It was also 400 years. So we realized that we thought, how do we commemorate these two? How do we engage how do we engage the African diaspora in a very spiritual way? I'm getting feedback, so if any of you is listening, please your my guest Ben and William, because I'm getting feedback. Sorry about that. Okay, so we would see if this feedback can. Okay, thank you so much for helping out. The point I was making earlier is that when we held the exchange ceremony in 2019, it was very successful. And I want to take this opportunity to thank people that supported and guided that vision to get that vision to its fruition on November 15th, 2019. I want to take this opportunity to thank Pilar and Sister Ogochi and then Brother Kiman. Because during that event, we created the first unity staff that actually holds the unity of the African diaspora. It was a very significant and powerful ceremony that we thought needed to be repeated every year, so that we can always come together as a people to celebrate us, and as we celebrate us through our culture and our dance, we can begin to see the similarities in our steps. We can begin to see the similarities in our cultures, so that even though we understand that we cannot unite or come to a point of unity in one day, as we do these things, it can help us appreciate and respect our diverse and unique cultures. And so that's the concept of the exchange ceremony. We also knew that in our culture is beauty. And so we involve the cultural fashion show, and we are also excellent people. So we do awards where we recognize people who are doing excellent in our communities. Now, due to COVID-19, we missed 2 years. And so this year we decided to do the exchange again. But we thought, how do we do that? How do we bring the exchange to our audience in a way that will be so significant and so monumental, in that we can go beyond just the coming together and the healing process that we intended it to. If we're going to, and we thought that we needed to honor certain leaders of the within the African American community, because I personally believe, the Progressive Maestro, we sincerely believe that the African American community paved the way, sacrificed, and paved the way for a lot of immigrants. Now, as an African, I acknowledge that as an African, their work, their sweat and blood, made it somewhat easy or more convenient for me to succeed and thrive, and to gain all the things that I ever wanted as a young man coming to America. And so I thought, how do we appreciate their community? How do you appreciate their leaders? Because I do understand, perhaps without their work, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about African diaspora without the work of the African American community, without the work of the African American people. So we thought of honoring their community, and showing respect. And so we brought the African leaders in Chicago to come and pay their homage and respect to one of their great leaders, one of the African-American great leaders, who was in the person of Reverend Jesse Jackson, for his life work, for his contribution to America, the struggles of civil rights in America, and also Africans across the globe. And how do we do that in a very powerful and significant way that is very dear and that's centered to the African culture? His life work is already a standard or a symbol of who we will call kings and chiefs in Africa. And so we came up with the idea that the most significant way that we can honor Reverend Jesse Jackson in the twilight of his career, of his life, is to crown him as an African king. And so we had to bring a king from Ghana to do this, because remember that our story, the separation of African people due to slavery, is not only physical, but it has a spiritual connotation, right? So if our chiefs, now kings, contributed to slavery 400, 500 some years ago, then it was significant that we would have some of our kings, or we would have some of the same people that contributed to slavery come over to that cross over the Atlantic and restore that which was taken from our brothers and sisters in the African American community. So our crowning of Reverend Jesse Jackson as an African king has a lot of significance, and part of that is spiritual as well, because we needed to close that spiritual gap as a result of what happened to us. So we had a very successful event. Now we're starting the challenges which we are working on for next year, and I know that it would be it'd be bigger and more. We are going to keep the momentum. What we started in Chicago is going to grow. We thank God that He enabled us to make history for the first time ever in the history of Chicago, probably the history of Illinois. We were able to bring an African king from the continent to come to Chicago to crown a no mean person than Reverend Jesse Jackson, an icon like Reverend Jesse Jackson. And we're going to play a speech. We're going to play part of the speech that the king gave in regards to the connection of the African and its diaspora, and the African diaspora, of the African people and the diaspora. But let me bring my friend Ben. Sorry, I think I was muted for a second. We are live. We're back on again. I was, we trying to make sure that our technical challenges was fixed. So we're back. Ben and James, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining the feed this evening. So the purpose of you all, Attorney William Jackson, can you hear me? Looks like we're having a little challenge with his feed. Attorney Jackson, can you hear me? Okay, so while we try to connect Attorney Jackson, Ben, you were at the exchange ceremony at Rainbow Push 2 weeks ago, I'll say, and you want to give your thoughts on what you saw and the significance of what happened that day.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much for honoring me to your show. The events at the Rainbow Push of which Reverend Jesse Jackson was honored was just far beyond just an event. The king from Ghana, NYAHO TAMAKLOE VI, his speech that was so powerful, relational to reconciliation, appeals to the conscience of both mind and hearts. The honoring of Jesse Jackson as an iconic figure to me, it was just an honoring somebody more than a warrior, because this sector of the diaspora, they have gone through the shams and the ravages of pain, horror, name it all, to this extent, bringing us to this peaceful line in the destination of their struggle. So to me, it was like, it was as if, and you were just giving an honor to a warrior who have gone through it all and still going through all at this age of his life. And to me, that's what I observe. We honor that we're warrior.
Brett, thank you so much. Looks like we lost Attorney William Jackson, but we will continue. So, no, Ben, thank you so much for elaborating on that. Honoring Reverend Jesse Jackson, you rightly put, is as Africans. I don't know, not everybody will see things the way we did, or not everybody will see things, from one perspective or from one viewpoint. We all have opinions and have our perceptions to who should do what and who should be honored and what criteria should be laid down for these processes. But you give honor to whom honor is due. And so we are very proud that as Africans, we were able to come together in this day and age, in this season of ours, because you can feel the diaspora wind blowing. You can feel that God's people are coming together, are working together, are recognizing this, the wind of consciousness, Black consciousness, is blowing across the globe. Africans on the continent are beginning to see and are beginning to realize that our brothers and sisters on the continent, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, are not necessarily that different from us. The gap and the challenge has been that we, as Africans on the continent, were not given enough or in-depth education about our own selves and about our own history. And so a lot of times we lose sight of who we are and where we are from, and hence our connectivity to the African diaspora, specifically African Americans here. And so as we do this, as we create more awareness through these programs, through these events, and kudos to a lot of the Afrocentric festivals that has been going on over the decades in the city of Chicago. And I think that it's on the back of these events that has created the momentum for some of us to continue or to ride on, to achieve some of the things we have achieved now. People like Ephraim Martins of Africa Fest of Life, right? Patrick Woodhall of Africa International House, of course, Ghana Fest, right? And go ahead.
The Bantu Festival.
Absolutely, Bantu Festival. Bantu Festival, and yes, that's absolutely true. Bantu Festival. Great guy Sylvain from Cameroon, great guy who founded this festival, and I think the other Caribbean festivals, right? The Caribbean festivals that has been going on at Midway Pleasance, and I think there's one coming up very soon. And so all this movement created this energy, at least in the city of Chicago, because one of the beauty of Chicago's summer is you get to see the different colors of the diaspora, and it's festival after festival after festival, talking about Afro-centered festivals, and I think it gives you the hope that all is not lost, even though a lot of pessimists out there that the coming together of our people is a daunting one and may not even happen. You see glimpses of hope when you go to these festivals and people are commemorating and just having just acknowledging the different cultures that make up the diaspora. And so it's I think that is it gives you hope. It gives people like us hope that if we continue the work that our ancestors started, one day we would get to a destination where we may see a bigger global Black family working together as one people. Even if we don't see it, our children will see it, because all of this is for the future generation to grow up to find a more strong Black community, full of culture and people of humanity. And so we are confident that as we keep thriving on, in as much as it is very difficult and challenging, the most important conversation right now, I think, is that intellectuals within the African diaspora can reach out and help bridge the gap more. And I always say, as Africans, we have the moral obligation. The onus is on us as African immigrants to do more of the reaching out when it comes to this diaspora conversation. My brother Ben, I don't know if you have anything else to add to what we're talking to this conversation so far.
Yes, I think I ideally do. As you made mention earlier on, you said the wind is blowing, and we have an African proverb that tells us when the wind blows, you get to see the skin of the fowl. And at this time, as we said, you stated, we've seen the glimpse, but it reveals to us another level of marvel, where in the time past, the social and the intellectual struggle of the unification of the diaspora and the continent, both the economic struggle extent, the human struggle, and so many other impossibilities that existed in the time past. But for now, as we, both migrants and other residents and citizens of the Afro diaspora community, this event is revealing something more deeper than in the past. In the past, I guess maybe because of the lack of that kind of the digital world is also helping us in the where the past they didn't have some of this attributes to to marvel the extent of the campaign. And at a point in time, I think the worldview is also changing, which blend into the wind that you said is blowing, of mixed information, mixed education, all these attributes that were at a percent height, or at the height of blocking or disrupting the merging of the diaspora and the continent has been reduced today. Has been reduced. So with the exchange event, what we came to realize also was that people didn't have the opportunity to engage directly with the other Africans in the diaspora. So the exchange merged into where people got their questions been answered. Their questions were answered directly from the mouth of the directly from the individual people that they needed to hear from, instead of going through in a search engines or using the digital devices to look for answers, but they came in contact with human answers. So that's what I have to say at this point.
And I think that's the most important thing, being intentional about creating spaces where we can literally interact with each other, and it's through and it's the only way we can begin to unravel some of the misconceptions that has plagued and that has kept us separated. If we're not talking to each other, there is no way of knowing each other, knowing about us, and discovering the truth about our connectivity and our oneness. And like you rightly said, we've had so many factors that has kept us separate, that has kept us very circumspect and very suspicious of each other. And so, because we hear our stories being told to us from people who may not necessarily know us, they may read about us, they may study us, but we've heard stories we had our own stories being told in different ways. and then we catch it from different angles. We run away. We run away with them instead of running to each other to inquire about ourselves and where we are from. I understand that there has been so much bitterness. There has been so much hurt that has been done. And one party may feel more hurt than the other. The other party may feel a little bit more maybe guilty or nonchalant to the plight of the other. And I don't want to necessarily state or make mention of some particular group of people, because the intent and the purpose of this conversation is not to widen the gap, but to bring us together. So we are careful not apportion blames, but to look at it from a sense of urgency. Because if you look at the geopolitical realms now, you would understand that other races acknowledge and recognizes their kind. There are alliances that are being formed everywhere. Okay, the only people that is not forming alliance is Black people or African people across the globe, and nobody's going to form that alliance for us. Nobody's going to have a huge convention and say, Black people, this is now you all have to just come together, or you'll have to start working or working together, or start appreciating each other. Nobody's going to do us. It will take only us. And I keep telling people who may be so aggrieved and not wanting to work with other Black people, regardless of their sentiments or their belief system, is that as Africans and as Black people across the globe, our story has not, our past history, our recent history has not been so encouraging. A lot has been done to us. We have suffered in several ways. But as a people, we also have in us to be able to forgive easily. Any group of people, from the Islamic slave trade down to transatlantic to Europeans and all of that, all the slave trade and whatever atrocities that was committed against Africans and Black people, we have found ways to forgive everybody else. The only problem, it seemed like the only difficult thing for us is forgiving each other. So that is why Ben, we struggle to easily forgive each other, and we hold on to our sentiments against one another as Black people across the globe. And I think it partly has to do with tribes, right? Tribalism, and because we want to hold on to our dear culture and our tribes, and these things help us identify who we are, it kind of blinds us a little bit. Ben, you were going to make a point.
No, I think you made a very significant reference to the issue of forgiveness. The issue of forgiveness, and also, with what you earlier stated. It said, until the lion tells his own story, the hunter have the best story. And also, this event of the exchange became the very landscape for us to make that geopolitical division. And the most important thing that you just made reference to has to do with the issue of forgiveness. Because if that is not referenced, it will be very difficult for a group of people or group of individuals, no matter where you find yourself in this part of this geopolitical era. Forgiveness is so much unique. It gives that identity and idea of freedom. So sometimes in resolving conflicts that we've been misinformed, from the era of education and groups and tribes. One of the most unique things we need to see as a primary identity for us to see ourselves as being one image. Because if we lose the concept of tribal theories and ideas of superiority, this will continue to create that division. So the earlier statement, as you said, in reference to forgiveness, is one of the most significant things that we all need. And the exchange program brought this to existence and reality. As the King Chief Togbi NYAHO TAMAKLOE VI made reference of this atonement, we really need it as a group of people, individuals, from the corporate existence and to all these institutions. The forgiveness is so unique that will bring and match us together to achieve that particular goal, because so many atrocities have been created. So many atrocities have been created by both parties. From the continent, from the time of slavery and all that. So we have to come to the point of, forgiving each other. Then we can create that image of reconciliation for the betterment of our world and our existence as Black people.
Brilliant, my brother. Thank you so much. You've made great points. At this moment in the conversation, we would like to play the King's speech. This one would inspire you, and this one will give you hope. If it doesn't, let's come back and continue the conversation. Togbi NYAHO TAMAKLOE VI is the right-wing ruler of the NYAHO Kingdom, which is in Volta region, Ghana, West Africa. The NYAHO Kingdom is one of the 3 oldest kingdoms in Ghana. You have the Ashanti Kingdom, the NYAHO Kingdom, and the Dagbon Kingdom. These are great ancient kingdoms, and we were blessed to have Togbi NYAHO TAMAKLOE VI come all the way from Ghana to encourage, inspire, and give hope to the African diaspora and to educate us of our need to work together. The most important piece of his coming is crowning Reverend Jesse Jackson and also rendering apology and in an attempt to make atonement for the atrocities that was done to us many years ago, and that which we as African also participated in. Let's take a moment to watch this video. Feel free to share your comments on the feed on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also ring in at 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. Let's listen to the King's speech at Rainbow Push, July 16th.
Preview.
Ladies and gentlemen, the international community, my name is Togbi NYAHO TAMAKLOE VI of the NYAHO Kingdom of Ghana, a kingdom that stretches from Ghana through Togo, Benin, and to Nigeria. I stand before you from Africa, recognizing that this moment is much bigger than any one of us. I stand before you humbled to be in the presence of one of the greatest civil rights icons of the world. I stand before you recognizing the invaluable work of people of African descent to the development of the entire world, and in particular to African Americans for the many, many years of toil and suffering that you have undergone. I come before you with a plea of atonement. I come before you to say, we are sorry. We are sorry for the complexities of 1619, the movement of millions of you down to the Americas to work for free for many years, to develop this land into a superpower, because it's your money, which was not paid to you, that contributed to the development of this country. There is no iota of fear in any one of us, recognizing the moral authority of each one of us to stand and fight for freedom and to fight for our identity, which was taken away from us. And today, many of us and many of you suffer from years of deprivation of that true identity. I come to bring you back to Africa. I come to offer you land. I come to offer you opportunities. I come to offer you a sense of belonging. There is no amount of gold that can ever repair the damage done to your souls. But we can, in a human way, hold your hands and say, we are truly sorry. And that you can go back into your homes knowing very well that you've done your best. The rest is for us to reach out to you. In 1884, in Germany, after many years, almost 250 years, after you've been taken away and brought to the Americas to work in the cotton fields under inhuman conditions, in 1884, another complex situation was set behind you. Our land was divided among many countries. Our human resource, our gold, manganese, timber, millions of our resources were taken away from us, and we were left deprived in the land of Africa. These two things, slavery and colonialism, the two greatest evils of humanity. It is against this background that you and I must appreciate the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson. The fight to restore the human dignity of each and every one of us. The fight to bring freedom to each and every one of us. the fight to bring justice for all of us. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and many others, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, Nyerere, Kaunda, and many, many, many more of us have laid down our lives for this moment, a moment of unity and harmony between the two worlds, Africa and the African diaspora in America. Today is the moment. Today is a day of celebration. We honor the tireless work of the Reverend himself, Reverend Jesse Jackson. The moral compass of the international community. The man who broke boundaries, visited several times in South Africa to break back the back of apartheid, to set free Nelson Mandela. His work cannot go unrewarded. There's not too much we can do, but the very little we've done today will give him some sense of peace. There's no need to struggle for any more affirmation, but to walk away from here knowing that the world loves him for just being who he is, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. It is against this background, ladies and gentlemen, the international community, that I proclaim the first king of the African diaspora, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. It is with the blessings of the chiefs and leaders of the international community that we recognize a moral leader, a selfless leader, a leader who will continue to live in our hearts for the rest of our lives. Please join me in crowning, proclaiming, honoring one that has walked the soil of this earth, imperfect as we are, and yet ready to lay down his life for his fellow man, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. I mean, watching this again somehow makes me kind of like acknowledge, it's sinking in the work that took place, the work that we did. And I really want to take this opportunity, being the first time coming on air after this show, to thank the team that helped produce this monumental, historic event in the history of Illinois, arguably in the history of the United States. because we believe that this is the first time we have had a king from Africa to come here to make an atonement for the crimes and atrocities that occurred 400 years ago when it comes to the African Americans and even our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean community. This is historic. We hope that anyone that heard this will be either inspired, blessed, or encouraged to work towards the coming together, the solidarity, the harmony, and the peace that the African once had but lost. That we, as the generations after, can work towards what our ancestors wished and hoped for. That we shall be together. That we shall be together. And this really gives us that fulfillment. It gives us the joy. And so let me go back to the point I was trying to make in terms of thanking and acknowledging Joseph Edwards, who is in Arizona. Brother, I missed your call earlier today, but I'm going to call you back. Joseph Edwards helped with the planning committee of the exchange ceremony. We started last year. He was one of the few people that I called to come on board because of his passion and work as an African American, not only for the struggle of the African American community, but also for Africans. Then we reached out to Bibi Lebechi of Prayer Talk. Bibi Lebechi is also very passionate about the African diaspora and African immigrants here in the United States. She wholeheartedly agreed to be on the team. Then we reached out to Abina Ampofu of the Ghana National Council team, one of the members that put up the Ghana Fest. Abina Ampofu also came on board. We had Jewel, forgotten her last name, but Jewel also was on board. Along the way, we had people who came in but had to leave due to time constraints. This was all voluntary work. We didn't have what it took then. We didn't have the money. We didn't have the capacity. We didn't have the resources, but we had a vision, the love, and hope. And we drew inspiration from those who had gone before us. For example, the Reverend Jesse Jackson and all these civil rights leaders on the continent of Africa and here, that they put their lives on the line, they did work, and they made way for us. So what can we do to keep the conversation going? So we sacrificed, and these people helped. These people helped greatly in organizing, in helping bring the exchange ceremony to you all. So what you saw July 16th at Rainbow Push, the history that you witnessed or heard of, for those of you who couldn't make it, is at the result of the hard work of the names that I've mentioned. And I'll go over them again. Joseph Edwards, all the way in Arizona. Brother, God richly bless you. Bibi Lebechi of Prayer Talk. You can look her up on Facebook. Bibi, God richly bless you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Abuna Ampofu, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the sacrifice and the labor that you put in, knowing that there was no set money to be paid for all your work, for the passion. We had our troubles and our challenges, but you all stuck with me for almost more than a year. This event went through challenges. We had to postpone this event a couple times, but we thank God that it came through. Before I continue, I also want to thank my sister, Sister Africa Porter, extreme help that she provided in all the challenges. I also want to thank Angela Mims for all the support, trying to get us publicity. Felicia Apre also came through with publicity. Again, without pay, she said she was committed to help in getting us to the finish line because she believed in the African diaspora coming together. Then I also want to acknowledge. Michelle O'Kennard. She came in as a co-host to the show, saw the vision, heard about the vision, and decided to bring her 2 cents on board. Again, a lot of people came on board. Not everybody was able to stay in to finish the finish line because, as you can understand, an event of this magnitude, without the help that was needed, without the financial support, was very, very challenging. So people came and provided and did what they could, but we had to finish it. So for those who stuck with me to the end, Joe, I know your work and family and other things that you suffered in your family prevented you from staying with us to the end, but you were with us. I know your spirit was with us. So Joe Edwards, thank you again. BB Labechi, thank you once again. Abuna Pofo, thank you once again. We'll always be indebted to you guys. And I can't forget our guest speaker. Dr. Harris, Dr. Melida Harris Barrow. Without you, I don't know how we would have done it. You were very instrumental in getting a king here. Thank you so much, Dr. Melida Harris Barrow. God richly bless you. I'll always be indebted to you and to the team that helped produce the exchange ceremony. I can't forget my brother Ben Akoli, who's on the line with me. Ben, you showed your true brotherhood. You showed your commitment, and I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Ben. I also want to thank my sisters, especially Akofa, wherever you are, Akofa Asari. God richly bless you for coming through and for helping tremendously. Again, I don't know where I would have been without you. I don't know what. Do we have a caller on the line? Okay, looks like we have a caller. We're going to take this, but before I take it, I wanted to acknowledge, if I forget you, if I haven't mentioned your name yet, the show still continues. I'm going to do so. We just had the King's speech. We'll let you all comment on the speech, but caller, please go ahead and tell us why you're calling. Hello, caller. Okay, so we looks like we lost a caller. If you want to ring in and respond to the King's speech, just make a contribution to what we have discussed so far, the number is 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. Please feel free to ring in now to share your opinion or make a comment, ask questions. It's all fine. And I will take a moment to read the King's bio so that those of you who are interested in knowing a little bit more about King NYAHO TAMAKLOE can have it looks like we have Sister Africa here. Yeah, Sister Africa, can you hear us? Her mic is mute. Your mic is muted and we can hear you. So when you're ready, you can come in. But let's hear Ben. I don't know if you had any comment to make.
Yes, from the King's speech, there's 2 things that came to mind. Our great prophet Buju Banton, he said, "Oh, what a nice thing my eyesight behold. Ethiopia protects me from the cold." And he was reference to Ethiopia. Why he said Ethiopia? Because the land was known as Ethiopia before it was renamed Africa. He made that significant statement also in his song to Shiloh. He said, "Till I'm laid to rest, always the depressed thing is life in the West, but the best thing is life from the Western Eastern Africa." The King make a significant statement. Number one, he brought the realization of identity and dignity, of which is very important. One of the problems that we face today in the diaspora was the issue of identity. People didn't know where they're coming from. As you know, Bob Marley would say, if you don't know where you're coming from, then I guess you don't know where you're going. So he came back and in his speech and his tributes and also in his contribution, he said, "I have given you land I have given you land, knowing the identity crisis that the diaspora faces. And he made something else that he said was bigger than us. He made mention in reference, he said, the evil that we committed or that was committed against us from resources and processes. But to Reverend Jesse Jackson, he said the moral compass. The moral compass. So the Togbi NYAHO TAMAKLOE the sixth makes the significant things identity and dignity. And he, in his contribution, bringing us back to that point, to reward and to give us in the diaspora, or for our diaspora brothers and sisters, that dignity of identity. And he said, our soul as human were taken away. So I guess Togbi, as a king in his intellectual capability, has just made everything, simplify things for us. That, listen, guys, people, I am here to bring you this reward of dignity, despite the evil that was orchestrated in the past. I'm here to give you that dignity. That's what I have to say for now.
That is very powerful. Knowing that he said, "I'm here to restore, bring you that dignity." Love it. Thank you so much, bro. Let's see if we can get Sister Africa on the line. Can you hear us now, sis? Hello, Sister Africa. I think your mic is muted. Hello, sis. Okay, so you might want to go out and come back in because we cannot hear you. Your mic is muted. So please see if you can go out and come back in, Sister Africa, if you can hear us. So yeah, thank you so much, Ben, again for shedding light on the King's speech. If you want to call in to share your remarks, ask questions, the number is 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. And as I was acknowledging earlier, people who had contributed and helped with making this event a success, I also want to acknowledge the Airway Association. The Airway Association, Ruben, my friend Solasia Mekuji and his wife Jifa Mekuji, Scholastica Mekuji, the entire Airway Association led by Auntie Caro. I know who she is, the president of the Airway Association. You came together and helped last minute to make this event a success. Also want to appreciate Dr. Kutame. Dr. Kutame, thank you so much for your benevolence and your time. I truly appreciate it. I can't forget my mother, who from day one knew the task ahead and knew the challenges and knew my situation and was praying with me, knowing what was ahead of me. Sometimes without even me seeing seeing some of the roadblocks, she could see ahead of me and knew what was at stake, and so she stood with me through thick and thin. This event, I'll tell you, was not easy putting together. Like I said, we had to postpone this several times. There were too many obstacles that necessitated that we cancel this event. I had so many people tell me that cancel it, postpone it. I literally had people say in my face, "Why are you trying to bring strangers together?" You know, intellectuals in the African diaspora don't care about the exchange. They don't care about bringing the diaspora together. They don't have time for that. I took a lot from this. And sometimes you can feel the energy of the intellectuals in the African diaspora, especially. I think no, the person's remark was specifically to the African community. He said, I don't want to. He's from the African community here, one of the countries in the African community. He said, intellectuals in the African community in the diaspora in Chicago don't care about diaspora or don't care about us coming together. And I sense, even though it was, he said what he said, but I picked a lot from that because I want to talk to intellectuals, the engineers, the doctors, the accountants, and the bankers. They don't. A lot of people don't seem to be enthused about the African diaspora working together or unity. But the essence of education by Ralph Ellison is all about bridging the gap. Look it up. The essence of education is to bridge the gap. You have because of the people around you. God has deposited everything and all that you have, a lot in you because He wants you to be a blessing to others. We are because of others. And we have to reach out. The higher our status in life, our economic status, our educational status, the more we have to seek bridging the gap, whether in the African diaspora or elsewhere. We always have to use what God has given us in reaching out to others. And so, to my dear friends, well, we have a caller on the line. Let's take this caller, and then we can continue the conversation. Brother, please tell me your name and why you're calling.
This is William Jackson, Attorney Jackson. I don't know if you're referring to me, but I was having technical difficulties getting on both my phone and my laptop.
Right.
But are you referring specifics to me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay, got it. Well, listen, I did want to make a comment because I think it's very important. It's very profound what actually took place on this event because it has implications that go beyond what may be apparent. The key to us as a community coming together in the diaspora is going to depend on our relationship or our ability to realign ourselves with our roots, with our history, with our identity. Now, what we know is we're basically carpetbaggers. All of us in the diaspora are basically carpetbaggers in the West, and our roots and our identity are on the continent. And it's our ability to align with that that's going to ultimately give us access to our roots. And much of what needs to happen in terms of us coming together will have to be done using Africa as the catalyst. Because as members of the diaspora, we are divided. There's just no division there. There's too much division there. Oh. But in terms of our ability to identify the continent, that's what gives us our sense of being homogeneous, is the ability to identify with that continent that ultimately will give us the opportunity to do the things and build the bridges that need to be built. Because for us to deal with, there's 200 million of us, 150 million in the diaspora who are in Latin America and in the Caribbean, 50 million in America. That's 200 million people. Just in the different cultures, be it Peru, be it Bolivia, be it Brazil, be it Mexico. There's a lot to deal with. What unifies all of us is the continent. And much of our effort has to be directed in that regard. Having the king here was crucial. The key, in my opinion, relative to crowning Mr. Jackson king, has to do with creating an umbrella under which we can create an institution that we can address and begin to put the details together that will allow us to come together collectively under a particular umbrella. Because I believe we've had many persons who have become chiefs and kings, but we've never had
Since mic is muted.
Hey, Tina, can you hear me now?
Yes, I think we can hear Sister Africa now. Sister Africa. So, brother, no, Sister Africa, give us a second. We have Attorney William Jackson giving his submission. Once it's done, I'll let you come in. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I'm just saying. I'll be finished in just in a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is our servitude that ultimately creates the unity between us. But that's not something we want to build on. We got to build from another place. And the place we have to build from is coming from the continent. It's our ability to embrace our identity, our culture, and our history, traditionally speaking. The king, crowning him king, was traditional. What about being a prime minister? What about being a president? What about being any of that? It was about our traditional culture. And there's a lot that goes with that we haven't even began to discuss when we go back to our roots, we're talking about our ancestors. There's a lot to be discussed there. Reverend Jackson's crowning as king gives us the vehicle to address those kinds of concerns and those kinds of issues. Because we're not really trying to become better at what we already are. That does not lead to the success that we like to have. It's going to be our ability to align with what Africa has to offer us. That's the only place we can regain our identity. We can gain our identity here. That's the only place, our roots, culture, our heritage, that which was robbed of us. See, they were never robbed in Africa by and large. They were colonized, but they were never robbed of their language, of their culture, or their identity. So they have something to build on that we didn't really have. And it's our ability to address and identify with them that ultimately is going to be, in my opinion, the source of our ultimate extrication from our condition as previous slaves in America. That's what I need to say.
Thank you so much, Attorney William. Attorney Jackson, you made a lot of powerful points. And this is the journey that we are on. Now, this is not just the crowning of Reverend Jackson during the exchange was the creme de la creme of the exchange. The exchange itself is what you just said. It is designed to educate and to continue the work that you just spoke about. So thank you so much for sharing, and we will continue doing the exchange every year. It's going to get bigger, and so stay tuned. I really appreciate your input. Feel free to keep the conversation going or ring in again. Sister Africa is on the line. Sister Africa, I don't know if you want to contribute or respond to Attorney Jackson's submission.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to come back. I'm sorry about the mishap with the back and forth. I'm actually working at the Chicago Police Headquarters, so let me apologize again. We've been having some challenges as it pertains to violence on the CTA. So a few of us were called to meet with the new chief, Officer Cato, who I'm honored to have met with. And so I'm in and out of the police station right now. So I apologize for that, but I'm happy to be on. And thank you, Sena, for your vision and your understanding of providing progressive minds and the award ceremony and the exchange ceremony as well. I love the attorney that was recently speaking. He connected a lot of dots. I think it's important as we move forward that we understand a lot of times we get into conversations around problems and solutions, but we don't go into the root causes. So I love the way he communicated that because he gave you A, B, C, and D. So thank you for that, Attorney William. That was powerful. My takeaway from this ceremony, very emotional exchange for me. My father was one of the founders of the Great Rainbow Push Coalition Institution. I grew up playing hide and seek. It was the best place to play hide and seek because there's so many places to hide because it's so big. Me and Reverend Jackson's daughter, Jackie, little Jackie. It was just a wonderful experience. I knew that when I went away to college at Bennett College for Women and at Rusk College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, I knew that I would come home and I would work at the National Rainbow Push Coalition Institution. My father walked me in the door after having served there in the 70s and 80s. And that was my job, working with Reverend Jackson in the press office. Unbehold to me, I did not know that I would own my own public relations firm today. But my roots, going back to roots and culture, my roots started right there in that building where we convened at just on July the 16th. So I'm honored and I'm thankful. Very emotional exchange, evoking the spirit of my father, recent ancestor, Reverend Dr. Kwame John Porter, who served and did a lot of work in social justice and civil rights. He was the first SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference president for Dr. King for Chicago. So I grew up in a household that taught me very well about social justice, about culture and our people from Africa and the diaspora. So again, Sena, I want to say thank you. Hats off to you. I appreciate the inclusion. I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it, not just on the day of, but to help plan for such an event as that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sister Africa, for a great submission. This is the family we're trying to build here. And I sincerely believe that the work that we've started will blossom, it will grow, not only to our benefit, but to those who are going to come after us. So thank you. Thank you so much. Ben, you heard Brother Jackson, Attorney Jackson Williams. I don't know if you have any comments or want to add to what Sister Africa just said.
Yes, so the attorney, William, I think in reference to that, he said sometimes we cut the branches, but the root of the issue still remains. But earlier on, I made reference to, I made reference to some of the solutions to these issues, which was miseducation, misinformation that contributed to this high rate of division. And so this, in the landscape of that, the exchange program, have given us that platform, to expedite or to enhance the merging, gap. So I understand the point where he's coming from. But then earlier on, also, you made reference to the African intellectual, in the community of Chicago, your discouragement, some elements that discourage you. The problem is that most of those intellectuals have not encountered or having come to the point of any experiential struggle, to the point that on their oriented mission, sojourning to the diaspora have to more of a family-oriented issue. But one thing I always want to remind the African intellectual in the community, especially when it comes to some of the struggles that the diaspora African Americans are facing. Example, have to do with our sister Africa just made reference, she's at the presence of some of this gun violence. You see, some of the African who have migrated in colleges, I think in 2007, they became victims to the bullets and the guns. So there's a time, I think it's about time, the African intellectual community, those engineers, doctors, have also to, need that wake-up call, to support the diaspora in resolving some of these, issues that is going on. And we have an African adage that tells us, the broom cannot, exist without the compromising or without the merging of other. The broomstick alone cannot work until we all come together. So we should remind ourselves at this point that there is an urgent need, no matter your background or no matter what it is. Don't wait to come to that evidential and experiential tragic end before you realize that, yes, this is the struggle of the people in the community, the backbone of which you are serving, the backbone of which you are residing and receiving that economic heights of which you are gaining. And sometimes, yes, I don't blame them sometimes to the extent. I will give example of the influx of refugees that come from the continent. And sometimes they have been told, don't go to this area of this community because something else may happen. But not to distract from what we are talking about. I was deeply concerned and deeply hurt, with the discouragement that you receive from the other end, of which you are thinking, oh, this intellectual should rather buy into the movement, into the effort where you are creating to bring that unity, to bring that dignity and identity to humanity. So we should also watch out for that point in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ben. That was brilliantly said. Sister Africa, thank you for your input as well. And we really appreciate the efforts that everyone is putting in for a more homogeneous or a more peaceful and united African diaspora. And Ben, you rightly said. I mean, I think at this point, nothing faces me. The discouragement will come. It's inevitable. But I believe that with God on your side, with a clear conscience, there is no fear. And you only can pursue and keep going on as long as you have God on your side, and as long as your mission is clear, as long as your mission has a good intent. And so that's what drives us. The future is what drives us. The fact that the likes of Reverend Jesse Jackson's and many more here in the diaspora and on the continent sacrificed and are still sacrificing encourages us. And so, but I think you rightly said, the intellectuals has to remember, the intellectuals in the African community here in the diaspora have to acknowledge that to whom much is given, much is required. For those of us who have been fortunate to escape poverty in Africa and made it to the United States, because that's exactly what happens, and that is what is happening. We are here because we want to escape poverty, a lot of us. And a lot of us have now gone back, even though we have acquired a lot of properties and built and made a lot of money here and built a lot of assets and acquired a lot of assets and built properties back home on the continent. We are still now going back. There's a ton of people that are here. They spend 40, 50 years, whatever years here, but they're not going back to settle. Why? Because again, I always say our leaders, some of the leaders on the continent have not created the conducive environment that gives us the economic cushioning and the economic condition for us to be able to thrive. And even those who have made it abroad to come and settle. And so even though we have mansions back home, we spend 99 or 90% of our lives here. We only go to Ghana or Africa and live 2 weeks or at most 1 month in these mansions, and we come back here in a society in America which was not necessarily built by us as indigenous Africans. African immigrants, we didn't build this country. We're just here to take advantage and to benefit off of whoever built it. And we know who built it. We're foreigners here. There are people who came here, were born here, and lived here. And we know the story, so we'll have to go into it. And these are just the hard truths. These are just the facts. These are just the realities. And so my encouragement to all intellectual Africans here in the diaspora is that we have to acknowledge, it's fair to acknowledge that the land that is providing and feeding us and giving us the opportunities for us to live the life, live the life that we always dreamt of, which is why we escaped. Mark again, take note of the word, it's escape. And so the land that is providing us, or that has provided us the opportunity to live our dreams here in America and back on the continent, it is only right that we acknowledge that some people pave the way, and we are not in any way suggesting that we should be walking around, shaking hands and saluting everybody on the streets. I think that we are smart enough to understand that that's not the point that I'm driving at. But we contribute, like my brother Ben said, we find ways of contributing to the struggle of the African American community because they have done a lot of work and are still doing a lot of work so that all of us can benefit off of it, so that generations after us can keep benefiting. And so what my brother Ben and I are saying is that we always have to find opportunities, be it on the west, south, east, urban areas, wherever you are in the United States. Even if it's $1 that you contribute to a Boys and Girls Club or Urban League, or find an organization, find a minority group, find a Black community project, contribute your quota. This is how we give back. We have to give back. So we can't be in a situation where we left Africa, we come in here and we take in and we just take and take and take and not give back. So we have to find ways of giving back. It's okay that we're building all that we're building and acquiring all that we're acquiring, but we have to find ways of giving back. And who are the people that need the help the most? Who are the people that are struggling the most, or at least working to deal with some of the challenges in their communities? And we understand and we all know and see the struggle in our brothers and sisters, in the community of our brothers and sisters, the African American. And so this is our encouragement. We can only encourage folks, and hopefully they can see the wisdom in this very pertinent conversation. And I think vice versa for all those African Americans who still have a grudge against Africans or African immigrants. I always want to encourage you. It's time that we let bygones be bygones, because we, this generation you're seeing, descendants of our ancestors, we didn't do anything wrong, but we are the descendants of our ancestors. So whatever wrong they did, we have the opportunity to right it. We have the opportunity to correct it. And so this is our opportunity. And so we hope that you will take something from this conversation. It is 7:33 p.m. Central Time, and you have been watching the Progressive Mind Show. This one is a comeback from maybe a 3 weeks break because of the exchange ceremony that took place July 16th at Rainbow Push, the second annual exchange ceremony, the historic exchange ceremony that took place in the city of Chicago. Thank God that we've made a mark in the city, and we can only go further and be bigger. We invite you all to be part of this. And as you stay tuned to our platforms, be it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you will be getting updates as to what is to come next year. And by God willing, we would go further than what we did this year. And with your help, we can do so. The Progressive Mind Show is a 501c non-for-profit platform. We encourage that you support us with your donations. Thank you so much for your time. We would like to bring the conversation to an end this evening. My brother Ben, do you have any more comments?
Oh yes, to encapsulate story, and in reference to the events of NYAHO TAMAKLOE coming, I would like to sincerely extend my gratitude and appreciation, thanks to the members and the community that came to support, and to the leaders and the planning community the planning committee that helped you to bring the event to a very fulfilling meaning. I just want to extend my sincere appreciation to them. And also, we should keep reminding ourselves, if you still have any doubt about anything in reverence in relating to Africans in the diaspora or the African migrant, and you are from the African American community, please reach out to Progressive Mind Show. You have the email, and then let's ask dialogue to bring that reverence of peace, understanding, and forgiveness. So there are so many things that we have, both parties have to offer to bring this peace, unity to existence. So reach out to Progressive Mind if you still have any doubts. And thank you very much, Brother Senna, for bringing me out here to contribute to this great event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Just a few contributions from our audience. We have forgiveness creates an opportunity to untold possibilities. And we have, thank you so much for highlighting the importance of bringing unity to our historical narrative. This is from Selwell. Thank you, my brother, for your contribution to the show. Rebecca says, Rebecca is on the show. Thank you so much for everyone that has been part of this this evening's episode. We want to thank you. I wanted to read a short bio of the king who gave this historic speech, and I am going to find it in a second. Please bear with me. So for those of you who don't know King NYAHO TAMAKLOE, here is a brief background. His Royal Majesty King NYAHO TAMAKLOE is the ruler of the Miafiagan West Wing ruler of the Anglo Kingdom. NYAHO TAMAKLOE is a former Edmonton Police Commissioner, Edmonton in Canada, and he was a commissioner and a chief administrative officer consultant. He has a master's of business administration (MBA) and a sociology major with a diploma in education. King NYAHO TAMAKLOE VI has over 25 years advisory and executive experience in local government and business management. He is a vice chair and founding member of the Coalition for Canadian Police Reform, CCPR. His kingdom is the first recognized kingdom by the British in the formerly known as in Ghana. Let me take that again. His kingdom is the first recognized kingdom by the British in Ghana, formerly known as Gold Coast. There are 36 major towns that make up the Anglo Kingdom, which is of the largest coastal towns in Ghana. Today, the Anglo people, which is at the Ewes, are located across 4 countries: Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. Around 500 AD, the Ewes were living side by side with the Yorubas in Oyo Empire in Nigeria until their migration eastwards. There are over 6 million Ewes, of which the Anglos are a major part. Their language is Ewe and is taught in Germany at the tertiary level. Thank you once again for watching the show. My name is Alinko, and I am blessed to be given this platform to keep coming your way week in, week out, to share, to dialogue, and to find ways that we can make our communities better. Once again, thank you to the team that helped plan the exchange ceremony. I'll always be indebted to you guys. And to everyone that had a hiccup or faced some challenges during the exchange, we extend our qualified apologies. And we appreciate your coming and your patience. And we know that we can only get better from here. For all who joined this program this evening, thank you. I want to thank Ben again for your commitment and support all the time, my brother. Also want to thank Sister Africa for helping the show this evening. Attorney Jackson Williams, thank you so much for her time. Another great show, as always, from Johnny Woods. Johnny Woods, thank you. God bless you. On this note, the show continues. Not right now. Today we're going home. The show continues, but not today. On Sunday and Wednesdays, we'll be coming your way with very topical and interesting conversations. Make sure you sign up and join us, and make sure you donate to the Progressive Mind Show. Go on our website, progressivemindshow.com. The Progressive Mind Show. If you type it, it comes. The donation are all tax deductible because we are a 501c. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. This has been your host once again, Sena, aka Alinko, and Ben. God bless you. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
All right.